Stewie's a little nervous.
He is.
Ah, he's got it.
Are you afraid of us, Stewie?
Only because we keep messing with him.
I'm out of order. You're out of order.
I second that.
Dewey ordered the code red.
You got 2 more minutes, Stewie.
Taking notes, just so you guys know.
What can we do? 2 more minutes.
I'm taking notes.
Oh, 1 more minute, Dewey.
Excellent.
Meredith, just don't take a knee on him when he asks for the Pledge of Allegiance, all right?
Man.
Sir?
Don't take a knee.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I'd be kicked out of my family.
Can we all turn our back to him?
That'd be pretty cool.
15 more seconds, Dewey.
Not for me to back
Do
up.
not recognize the chair.
Start praying now.
Make a formal protest.
Not my chair.
No.
I didn't vote for it.
Can, see, not even Greg would
We
vote
need
for
a
you.
bell.
You just
Pat,
said.
can you get us a bell for that?
Ding. Good evening, everyone. 6 p.m. I'd like to call this regular village board meeting to order. Please join me in a moment of silence. And also in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Clerk Holden, could you please take roll?
Trustee Mao. Here. Trustee Ferguson. Trustee Charles.
Present.
Trustee Scherschel.
Present.
Trustee Gerger.
Present.
Trustee Detmers.
Here. I'd like to entertain a motion to appoint a new chair for this meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Motion.
Second.
For who?
You wish.
I'll make a motion to appoint Chairman Detmers to be, to run the meetings this evening.
Motion's been made by Trustee Mao,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Chara. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Great.
Aye.
I believe there's an awards presentation from the Sons of the American Revolution. Chief Foley, if you could help introduce.
Yeah, real quick. Got a couple officers here. We got participants from the
Sons of the
Sons
American.
of the American Revolution. I had to think about it for a second. On July 21st, about 8 o'clock, received a 911 call in a 700 block of Deerfield of a 50-year-old male unconscious and not breathing. So the officers heard the call. They responded rather quickly. Sergeant Ponai and Officer Smith then started administering CPR. We were fortunate enough to have a couple of AEDs. They had an AED on with them that night. Delivered a couple of shocks to the individual, and the individual was able to regain consciousness, and he was then transported to the hospital where he's out of the hospital now and doing well. So I'll go ahead and introduce you Toby Chamberlain. He contacted me with the Sons of American Revolution to present awards for Sergeant Ponai and Officer Smith.
I'm Toby Chamberlain, the president of the Springfield chapter, and the Springfield chapter recruits from everybody in Sangamon County, so we have a large area, and we also have members from out of state and things. Springfield chapter is one of the oldest chapters in the country, 134 continuous years. There's only 4 other chapters in the nation that have been continually active longer than we have. Illinois had some chapters before ours, but those chapters folded up, but we're still around and hope to be for a long time. One of the things we do is present awards to public service individuals. And there are 4 awards. There's one for EMS, fire, law, and life-saving. Life-saving is the highest award that we can give. And it's been 9 years since we gave one. These awards are not just given, they are earned. And I really appreciate the guys and women here in Chatham, because I benefited from them. In 2013, I had a reaction. They gave me the wrong mix of chemo, and I couldn't breathe that evening. I could not breathe, and my wife called 911, and that's the last thing I remember for 3.5 months. I was in the ICU for almost two months on a ventilator and everything, but thanks to the prompt care that they gave me here, I'm standing here before you. So there's a special place in my heart for the guys that protect us here. And a lot of people don't realize that until they need them. But anyway, would the two officers join us up here? Where's Smith? Okay. With me is Sid Wells. He wears 3 hats. He's the president of the Jacksonville DSAR chapter. He is the vice president of the Central Region over 5 chapters. He's also the state chairman for Public Service Awards. So he is going to present the awards.
Medal in there, some of you may have seen it before, but likely not. So, all right, thank you for all you do.
Thanks a lot.
And Mark? Yes, sir. Pronounce your last name. Okay, all right. Mark, all right, well, thank you very much. Here's your certificate and medal. Thank you for your service, sir. All right.
Just to repeat what I said, these medals are earned. They're not just, given for time in service or whatever. It takes a very special event to earn the medal. Thank you.
Thank you, too.
Thank you very much, Sergeant Pomeroy and Officer Smith, for being great representatives of the village. Are there any public announcements this evening? Anybody wishing to leave, please feel free. You don't need to sit through. We'll give a few minutes if that's all right.
Said anyone wishing to leave? Let's turn this way. Let's not look at him. He said anyone
Hey, Vern, might be easier for him to go out this door.
He said it. He's the chair. I want to listen.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Good night, guys.
You too. Thank you. Thank you. Tell everybody we said hi to them.
Again, thank you for the pause. Are there any public announcements this evening? Are there any public comments regarding agenda topics? Seeing none, I take a motion to put the consent agenda on the table.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Mao made the motion. Any seconds?
Second.
Second by trustee Charo. Are there any discussions regarding the warrants or the minutes? Seeing none. Mr. Clerk, could you please take roll?
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Ferguson.
Yes.
Trustee Charo.
Yes.
Trustee Detmers.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Churchill.
Yes.
No items under old business. Under new business, I'd wish to move the first ordinance amending the village code regarding the seizure of vehicles. Could I have a motion to table this, please?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by trustee Charo. May I have a second? Second made by trustee Ferguson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Second item under new business is an ordinance approving financing for the purchase of real estate in the village of Chatham. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Mao made a motion to move it forward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Charo. Is there any question or discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk?
Trustee Charo.
Yes.
Trustee Detmers.
Yes.
Trustee Ferguson.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Churchill.
Yes.
Item 3 under new business. Are there any public comments regarding village business outside of the agenda? Hearing none, we'll go through the schedule of meetings. The Planning Commission meeting, which was intended to be on September 16th, has been canceled. The next meeting will be October 21st, 6 p.m., Municipal Hall. Next Village Board meeting is September 28th, 6 p.m. Utility Oversight Committee meeting, October 11th, 7 p.m. Village Board meeting again, 6 p.m., October 12th. The Committee of the Whole will meet again October 12th, 6:15. Public Properties Commission will meet November 8th at 6 p.m. And the Chatham Fire and Police Commission will meet November 17th, 5:30 p.m.
The one to add is the Zoning Board of Appeals is meeting this Thursday at 6.
Zoning Board of Appeals this Thursday, which would be the 16th,
Yes.
9/16, 6 p.m. Thank you. I do not believe there's any need for closed session this evening, so I would ask a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Mao made the motion, seconded by trustee Ferguson. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion, or the meeting stands adjourned. Thank you.
Have to wait a few
Well,
minutes before we
minutes.
start the next one, but remember the mic and the cameras are live.
Discussions, he said, no.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Halfway done.
Yep.
Is that meeting legal now? I mean, can we? Gonna have to do some research on the legality of the meeting. Thank you. We just didn't know that you could see discussions.
I think the notes will reflect the discussions for
He is not rolling his eyes at all.
No, he's not.
That is not the sound of his eyes.
The notes will reflect he saw no discussions. They're even harder to see with mask on.
Now, what you need to remember is when you're reviewing minutes and there's no discussion,
Make
you
a
need
correction.
to move to amend minutes at the next meeting.
That he
Like,
heard
no
no-
discussion was seen.
Yes.
You need to make that amendment.
We gotta be consistent.
Can you do that in the
We gave him,
You have to wait till the next board meeting. It has to be the next board.
we gave him one job.
Have to wait till 6:15. Was it pretty?
With all
Is
those
there-
notes.
Matt, is there
I
actual
thought he had
business
everything
for the zoning board
covered.
then? There's actual business for the zoning board then Thursday night?
All the discussion anyway, and then he'd look at it to see that he has no notes on discussion.
But it would be even harder to see discussion with masks.
Yeah.
Because he could lip read if he was deaf or had that. But not during
So he
COVID.
has to have another, I thought he, or was that the plan board? Luckily it's recorded. Well, now he's got to get the zoning board to approve the zoning.
Toby, I
zoning
didn't even
variance.
recognize him. But yeah, because he walked in like, I don't know, he walked up in the. He's my cross street neighbor. He's aged. But they've been moved for 10 years maybe. Yeah. But they used to be, the grandkids were over all the time. Schematics would be over there, and but the grandkids, I don't think, come over very much anymore. They were really good people. Awesome. Him and his wife.
Yeah, I was gonna say something about the golf outing, Julie, but
Their
I
daughter
think
is
Saturday was the deadline.
She's a
Oh.
licensed doctor who doesn't
Yeah,
practice.
that's a good point.
We got in the wrong profession because her husband works for TRS, makes like $375 for a state
Have
agent.
you seen or talked to Les lately? He's all beat up and he was riding on a golf cart and fell off, and
Is that why he's not here tonight?
I don't think so. He did a tuck and roll, he said.
He did a tuck and roll, huh?
Yeah, he was here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
During the golf outing?
No, the golf outing's not for 2 weeks. This was,
I mean,
it was for another
I
golf
think
outing.
she,
thought you said he has a
I think she worked for me.
I was like, really?
I have a veterinarian.
The clerk?
17.
No, I
On
hope
high.
he's okay. I didn't see, again, my Facebook
And,
time was intermittent. I usually know what's going on in his life. So,
My daughter is modeling now for some.
She's very smart.
So she's feeling
She
pretty
was-
good about that.
She was a good benefits.
I'm on it way too much
I
at
can pull
times,
it up.
but,
Who's she with now?
It's out of Petersburg.
What agency?
well, Saturday was
Didn't say?
See if I can pull it. Yeah, right there.
9/11 presentation night.
yes, yep.
She's like 6 foot
So
tall.
he fell that day.
No, this was a different,
So this is
this was
the
a
woman
different
who owns the
golf
boutique.
outing. I don't know what it was, but
My wife
Must
has
have
never
been
met her,
last-
but somehow through Facebook,
2 weeks
so
ago,
it's like,
prior to-
I'd like your daughter to model some stuff, so. My daughter, okay.
Here in the back.
I remember your son from.
Can you get that guy?
years ago.
Mark Eddie.
Good evening, everyone. 6:15. I'd like to go ahead and call this committee of the whole meeting to order. Mr. Clerk, could you please take roll?
Trustee Mao. Yes. Trustee Ferguson.
Present.
Trustee Charo.
Present.
Trustee Detmers.
Here.
Trustee Gerger.
Here.
Trustee Churchill.
Here.
Are there any public comments regarding agenda topics? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to move the consent agenda to the table.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Trustee Charo, seconded by Trustee Mao. Thank you. Sorry. Is there any discussions regarding the minutes? Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks. No items under old business. Under new business, the first item is CMT engineering updates.
Okay, good evening. A couple of items here to go over. First one, probably the biggest outstanding item is Oak Brook. What we've done is coordinated with IDOT. They said that the updated resolution and the contract documents have been reviewed, approved, and are pending signature by the district engineer. So as soon as we get those back, we can formally award the contract and get Kinney Contractors going. I've already reached out to them to start establishing a schedule on that. Likely with having some property owner coordination with that, we're looking at maybe a mid-October start. The work should last only about a week and a half. So as soon as we firm up some dates on that, we'll coordinate with Pat and others at the village, get the proper notification out and begin that work. But that'll be along Oak Brook from Peachtree to Acacia. We're also working out on some closeout documents for motor fuel tax funds. IDOT's been a little bit lax in some of the reviews, and we're dating back to 2018. So going through some of those documents, getting them closed up, and that way the funding to the village general fund is up to date, and everything is coordinated and matches. We're also working with Pat and Dustin with the Water Department, looking at proper uses for the anticipated ARCA funds, looking at projects such as backup battery supply for the elevated tank building, also looking at a backup generator for the ground storage tank in the pump house at that location. And then looking at some critical items in the water system to make some loop connections to improve both flow, pressure, and water quality in a handful of areas. So what we anticipate doing is coming up with some one-sheeter papers that kind of describe what the project is, what the anticipated costs are, kind of the purpose and need of that, and that'd be coordinated with the administrator of the funds, presented to the board for expenditure of those funds, and we'll move forward with pulling together contract documents and award those projects. Let's see. Also attended the last planning commission, looking at moving forward with the Breckenridge duplex houses by Al Young. So that passed the last planning commission. We're looking at some zoning changes in those locations, so that should be hitting your guys' desks here pretty quick.
Did they give the 5 feet, did he give the 5 feet back to the residents of Breckenridge?
Okay, so that is still in negotiation. What he has done is the area where the fence is, he's blocked that out as a 1,000 lot, so as a placeholder. So it'll be common property at this point, which the developer would technically still own until the homeowners association picked that up. But the way that that's going to work is he's going to need every property owner to sign off on that to revert the property back to them. So it's kind of an all or none type deal. So if one person says, I don't want it, it doesn't make sense for the property lines here, 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 here,
Right.
here, here. So, he's done his due diligence in terms of, and we've talked that through the planning commission, of blocking that out, recognizing that this is an issue. One of the biggest concerns is also, making sure that everything works from an engineering standpoint. This is just a preliminary sketch that was provided. So it's identifying what the issue is, blocking it out, knowing that we have to address it. Either it's going to be reverted back to the property owners or retained as a common lot 1,000 area or 1,000 lot that would be retained either by the developer or the homeowners association once a homeowners association is formed for that. But as the engineering is developed and we have an understanding of what they truly plan on putting back there in terms of utilities and so forth, we can negotiate that out further. But from CMT's standpoint, the village's standpoint, we understand what the concern is of the residents. So, we're working with the developer as well and making sure that that's being addressed properly.
Perfect. Thank you.
And last one, looking at closing out letter of credits for Cardinal Ridge, all those combined improvements there. So we'll meet with Martin Engineering, Holloway's engineers on that, do a final review of that development and issue clearance on the letter of credits for those combined subdivisions. So
Now, is that under new ownership, that development?
It is.
So still,
But the old ownership was required to complete the project. And
Because it's their letter of credit?
it's all, yes.
So we'll work, we'll set up a review meeting with our engineers, original Martin engineers that did the development, walk through the site and see if there's anything else outstanding, and then we'll issue a letter, either clearing that or identifying any outstanding issues. So, other than that, that's all I had for this evening.
Anyone have any questions?
Oh, actually, yes. I thought the duplexes at the corner of Breckenridge and Walnut was supposed to be on Thursday's meeting.
It is.
It is.
It sounds like it's a done deal already.
No, they presented their sketch plan and location map to the planning commission last month,
Right.
which
And
they
there's another
accepted.
Variance being sought.
Huh?
Then there's a second variance being sought.
And the variances and the zoning are being requested Thursday. He has not presented his preliminary plan to the village yet. That's still going to be go in front of the planning commission, probably at least a month away. So,
I'm moving eligible to see the proposed layout for this development?
It's on board docs at last Thursday's meeting. Those are on there. So if you go and look at the planning commission, you'll see that, and it has that layout on there.
All right.
Okay.
If I have concerns about that, I assume it comes first.
If you have concerns on the zoning
Yes.
and whether you think duplexes in that area, those are the two things that they're going to address. They're not going to address whether his layout that he has in there, they're going to address the side yards
I understand.
and the zoning.
The variances are being requested to put in a couple more duplexes. I just wanted to see what the layout was and why exactly he's seeking these, what would it look like without the variances, what I'm getting at. Anyway.
That would be the place to come and talk about that.
Okay, I'll look at it on the board docs
Okay.
tonight and, so anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Next item under new business, village manager update.
I've got a few things. Like Jim had said, we started looking at ARPA projects.
Could you say the acronym again? I'm sorry. Or spell it out for me.
I think it's AA.
It's not a big deal. Sorry.
What were the projects? I missed the word.
ARPA.
Okay.
Let's see here.
Sorry, we don't have to do this now. I wanted to write it down and I wasn't sure I was hearing it right.
AAR.
ARPA.
ARPA. Okay.
This part deals with, this grant deals with loss of funds from COVID. It deals with infrastructure that falls under water, sewer, or drainage water. Jim and Dustin started looking at projects and trying to get prices together for water projects that we need to be able to take care of. But looking through the qualifications and specs and what could be used for and what can't, our project for putting the pond on our property easily falls into that category, as well as working the drainage and trying to make that a natural area and make it work through our park.
Community park.
Yep. So we will try to get a quote for that type of work too and present that both to you. So.
Okay. Thank you.
The other thing that's in front of you, I gave you some handouts with some areas highlighted. The personnel manual, I needed to update it mostly for the insurance coverage. The employees, the board gave me kind of direction a few years back to have dependent care insurance coverage that the employee carries more of the burden until we can get down to roughly 50%. So it's 50% for the employees and 50% for the employer. So the way that we tackled that was 2% a year. The first year contracts that we had with police and the operators and the electricians, they all agreed to that. So each of those employees contributed 2% each year for those 3 years of that contract. When Sorling helped us update the personnel manual, they put it in there the same way. So the non-union employees also contributed that 2% along those way. When the contract with the unions expired, the insurance for the employees that were not in the union, it didn't say anything about them having to contribute 2% going forward. We went into negotiations with the FOP. They agreed to do the 2% again for the next 4 years. When we were doing the negotiation with the operators before the operators dropped them, they were agreeing to the 2% along that way. So I am bringing this to you this evening to ask that we change the personnel manual so that we capture 2% from all of our staff, either union or non-union. And then I have that for the next 4 years so that it matches up with the FOP contract.
On the next page, Greg, would we want to mention in accordance with COBRA administration rules and how much we're charging, if we charge 100 or 102%?
I don't have a copy,
Yeah, you
so
can look at that.
what I can do is I can look at it as a whole.
Because it's saying if you and your eligible may have a right to continued coverage under the health insurance program for a limited period of time. It's got to be in accordance with COBRA.
Right.
Depends on time of service and all that. So you don't want to list out all the COBRA rules, but if you say in accordance with, or something like that.
Well, I think this could cover it, but we could specifically mention COBRA too, if you want to.
Because if we're going to charge, like we can charge up to 102%, which you should, because there's some administrative cost in there that we're probably eating right now.
Yeah,
I think you'd have to.
we can make that change.
So if you guys are okay with Greg's verbiage on that stuff and we add that to the end of that paragraph.
Yeah.
Yep.
The other items are.
Sorry, if I may. So just to make sure, because I haven't read this, I apologize, we just got it, but on, it seems as though the language suggests that these employees, which we could help identify just to see what the impacts would be, but it was increased through to June 30th of 2021, is that right? So there's been nothing between July and now?
There hasn't.
Okay, but if we were to move this forward and accept it, would there be a catch-up period where we would try to correct July through September? Or are we just?
My preference is yes, because when we gave the raises, those were retro back to May. So I think we will calculate the 2% that those folks would have paid over those months. And then deduct that from their pay on to get them caught up.
And this may not be the right forum, but have you spoken to many or any of these employees that are affected? I mean, is this a shock to their system, or
they agreed to it in the last contract, and they knew that we were going to move this forward and propose it. So
when you say they agreed to it in the last contract, you're referring to the non-union staff, or you're referring to the union staff?
I was referring to the union staff.
Okay.
The non-union staff over the last 3 years has paid that additional. Okay. Also, myself, Ern, Jill, Sherry, each year we've paid 2% more of what our dependent coverage is.
Okay, but I thought that this proposal was for non-union staff. Did I misunderstand?
No, it is.
Okay. Okay.
So we're part of that non-union staff. Sure. Until the operators union went away. There was what, 8, 9 of us. Now there's 25 of us, 30 of us. They're all non-union staff.
Oh, because of the operator union. I understand. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
They haven't picked up another union yet?
They have not.
Okay. I'm sorry, I missed that.
So that's the plan, is to get everybody back on the same page.
And there are no unions that didn't agree to these terms at this point?
Correct. Okay. The police, FOP agreed to it for 4 years, and the linemen have 1 more year on their contract, and they're paying that 2% for that this last year here.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify. Your next item, sorry.
The other items there are items from the police department. I'm going to have Vern try to explain some of them, but really what it affects is our sergeants. They're non-union, but
the sergeants are non-union, so whenever, the FOP came and joined in, then that took the sergeants out. They're not in the union. So therefore, what we was looking at was the personnel manual. And in the few items that you're looking at are the holidays and the callback time and such. None of that is addressed in the personnel manual. So what we want to do is everything we have highlighted, we want to go back and put that in the personnel manual so it covers the sergeants, because the sergeants they just fall under the personnel manual, but there's nothing addressing that in the personnel manual. So we want to make sure we address that. And what we did was we took the language from the FOP contract and basically just transfer it over to what the sergeants are making or would make as well. So kind of we're not changing anything. We just want to make sure that's in the personnel manual so they get paid accordingly.
Sorry, just again, I'm kind of a dummy tonight, but this section 4.2 holidays exists in the existing employee manual, right?
Holidays in there, but the rest of that section that explains the holiday and the pay is different than what the.
We're unique because being a police department, we operate 365, 7 days a week. So therefore it's a little unique. So that's the reason why we include all that language in there, because of, the holidays are paid differently than a Monday through Friday employee.
Mm-hmm. And so you're wishing to interject this language into this employee, or do I have it backwards?
Both of them. All of it in the personnel manual. So that way it spells it out exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it'll be under a heading for the sergeants then, so
correct.
They'll know that
it's only applicable to them.
Will we be able to see the manual where it's got strike throughs and adaptive changes so that
Red line?
Yeah, the red line.
Yeah.
And since the operators union left, a couple of the employees came and asked, because there are things different. There's probably 15, 20 things that are different in the personnel manual than what they had in their contract. They know they're not in a bargaining position, but they would like for the board or for me to consider maybe giving them some of the stuff that they had before that's not in the personnel manual. So today was the first time that anyone actually came in and gave me a list of 3 things that they would like to see happen. And I told them, I said, go back, talk to the rest of them and see what else they want to have done so that we can at least sit down and talk about it. Once I get a list and I get an idea of how many people are interested in stuff, I'll bring that to you and we can discuss. You can agree to change some of the stuff, or you can agree not to change some of the stuff. We might be able to trade this for that, but I'll bring that to you as I get it. But the union has been gone now for what, 2 months? And I've offered it to them to come in and talk, and no one has actually come in until today. So a couple people said that they would like to, and I said, you can come in anytime, but I don't know if they're not exactly sure what to ask for or how to ask for it. I told them, I said, you can have one person come in as a rep, or you can all come in individually and talk. I said, however you want to do it, the doors are open. So
yeah, I don't mean to speak for the board, but on my behalf, I'd welcome any discussion. And also too, I would like just to provide some steering to you. I would want all of the employees to be treated fairly. I don't want a specific subsection for operators and then you and Jill or whoever else is different. I feel fairness is important. So, and I understand why this needs to be called out separately for the sergeants, but yeah, I would.
Everything else is exactly the same. It doesn't make any difference whether it's me or whether it's a tier 2 water guy. Mm-hmm. The benefit packages, the holidays, the days off and stuff like that are exactly the same.
Yeah, I guess, again, just what I'm saying is if they wanted something different, they wanted a bottle of water every Wednesday, then I would want that to be offered to all of the non-union staff. That's my personal opinion.
We don't want to have a whole bunch of different.
Right. Are there any other items for you, Pat?
Let's see. We did get our first half of the ARPA funds today. So.
Sorry, the first what fund?
First half of the ARPA.
First half of the ARPA funds.
ARPA.
A-R-P-A.
Just making sure.
You'll make
it
me
sounds
spell that
like
every time.
park funds, and then I got all excited. So.
That's all
Well,
I hear.
we got some
I
good
can't hear
news.
very well with these masks on.
The grant for the parks,
A beautiful.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Dustin got some good information on that today. So,
Yeah, I was gonna ask him to
Yeah.
mention that in the public.
well, there he is.
Yeah. Anything else for you, Pat?
I think that's it.
Any questions for Pat?
I
Sorry.
do. Pat, do we have anything going on at the plant, or any excitement or not excitement, or is it all just kind of
No, the
Kumbaya
transition to chloramines went very smoothly. On our side, we're not seeing really any problems and stuff. Bill Brown, I remember years ago when he came in here, said that when we switch to chloramines, we need to let it go for a while, and then we'll try to work on getting that hardness down a little bit. So I told him, I said, when does that happen? And he goes, I think it's time for them to start looking at that. So he is trying to work with Jim Roth and the plant manager out there to be able to get that happen. So,
Have we had any concerns with people saying they notice anything different with the chloramines, or nobody has had any concerns or anything about that?
We've had zero complaints, period, for
Good.
weeks. I mean, it's
Good.
been, the comments have been years. It's been really, really good.
Knock on wood, yeah, find a piece of wood.
We want the truth.
Thank you.
and I was
Okay.
and they're looking to add another train of the new filters out there, which would double the capacity. So then next summer, if we run into these hot days, we wouldn't have to go and count on CWLP to supplement our water supply.
So what are these new filters, Pat?
They're
Are they still
micro
the cell
filters.
membrane, or?
The very first ones that the plant used came over from France.
Yes.
And you couldn't put them on a plane. You had to ship them by ship. These ones, they've got from Colorado. They're twice the size, and they're able to process the water, and they're a newer technology, and they don't have to clean them as often, and they've been working great. So
These are those little membranes still?
it's when you went out there, the clear tubes that you see, that's the
They
membranes
still
that
have
are
the
in there.
membrane cells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize we had them already. So
Yeah, they have the new ones installed from last year, and they're looking to do another train of them. So
Good.
Any other questions for Pat? Next item under new business is the Public Properties and Recreation Committee discussion. Several things here. I'll try to go pretty quickly, but they're all important because they're about the parks. Just kidding. So the first thing is we had a somewhat lengthy discussion about potential farmers markets in Chatham. I plan to write something up, and I'm hoping that maybe some of the board or maybe the village would share it on Facebook or wherever else. But with respect to the farmers market, I think what we are really hoping for is some volunteers to chair establishing a good market in Chatham. And I think the Public Properties Commission is definitely willing to help, but none of the members have sufficient time in their schedules at the moment to really do it right. So again, I will seek some chairs and volunteers for that. Second item is the progress on the dog park at Westside Park. Please, if you find some time over the next few days, please go check it out. Amazing progress has been made thanks to a lot of work from the village Parks Department, the Chatham Township, and Mr. Saucier back there. So it's making its way. I think the fence was being worked on today, if not this week. So really close. There'll be some gate work and some grass seedings and some trees planting. And there's various things that still need to be done, but amazing progress so far. I also emailed you guys last night the potential list of dog park rules. So if you have a chance over the next few days, please read over that list. And if there's anything that you think is missing or is inappropriate, please let me know and I can share it with the Public Properties Commission and Rollo. But the list looked pretty good to the Public Properties Commission last night.
Very thorough.
Inappropriate rules? What do you mean?
Yeah, what's
I don't know. I don't know. There's probably some it's Rollo, you never know. But so yeah, there's that list of rules. It's kind of long and lengthy, but I think Rollo's been thinking about this for a very long time, so he has a lot of the bases covered that you guys might find some more though that you were thinking. A couple other quick items. Again, we had the parking lot at Westside Park resurfaced by the Chatham Township. Very much appreciate that. Then they went even further and resurfaced the parking lot at Community Park. It looks great. Again, thank you to the Chatham Township I think the goal or hope would be to let those rocks get embedded a bit down into that oil, and then potentially look at the village or maybe the township or maybe a combined group hiring some painting of the lines in the parking. I think it's very much needed. So I would really, personally, I'd like to see us make that a priority.
We asked Jim today when he was here earlier to put together a plan, because we're required to have so many handicap spots, and also the place that we put the dumpster out there is right in the main path, and it turns around and tears that road up. We're trying to look to put a pad out there, put dumpsters on it, and build a little enclosure around it to be able to keep it locked so that we don't get fly dumping on the weekends and stuff like we have lately.
Okay.
So,
How soon would we want to paint lines out there?
I'm not even going to weigh in, but I know for certain that it probably wouldn't be a good idea right now because the rock is just still so loose.
Let me talk to Jim, because I know Shane Workman was saying that yearly we should be putting, for the next few years, be putting a top coat on that. So I'd hate to go put a permanent lines on that, put a top coat on it.
And it's covered.
9 months from now, I'm gonna have to do it again. So we might want to go with the temporary lines like they did for Sweetborn until.
Yeah, I completely understand that with oil and chip. Just the concern is, with being out there with kids, that it's a free for all in the parking.
As long as it's done by tomorrow, we should be fine.
Yeah, I mean,
We got practice tomorrow.
there's some coaches out there that, they're having to struggle as it is.
Play on the grass, Dewey.
I know. The good kids get the grass. Just kidding, Carrick.
Moving on.
In addition to the work that I mentioned so far, there was a ton of tree work done by the village crews. I appreciate that. So thank you guys very much there. And then Dustin, I don't know if you want to just briefly mention the Illinois DCEO grant and the status of that.
So today I got an email, I'll read it to you, it's very short.
Thank you.
There's more people in this, sorry.
Yeah, please state your name and address.
There's tens of people watching.
At least 4 or 5.
So today I got an email from Jenna Broom, who's our representative for the grant, and she says, we are currently working on obtaining bond release for the project. The next step for you will be acceptance of the notice of the state award. You'll be notified when this is ready. Thanks, and have a great week. So it sounds like we are getting the grant, and hopefully soon we'll be able to accept it.
And how much was that for?
$350,000.
We've already spent $450,000, so we're gonna have some talks.
Okay, cool. Already in the hole.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk, guys, after this. But, the last item I had under the public properties was the nature reserve, and just wanted to give an update that that's, again, the area around the electric building where a potential pond could potentially go. Those discussions have gone well, and now they're seeking seed, and but they're trying to do it right. I know there's several botanists involved in master gardeners, so hoping that project goes well.
Cool.
Any questions for the Public Properties Commission?
I talked to Bill Tracy today,
Uh-huh.
asked him status. He said it was a successful year. They still got a few fall things that are in the ground that they're gonna cut them out. He goes, I told him that the corn and all the weeds around it were unsightly, and he agreed. And he goes, a lot of times people plant stuff and then they don't come back. And he goes, him and his dad have been the coordinators of it, but he really thinks that they need to form a group or a committee to be able to all agree on how they're gonna keep it cleaned up and policed and stuff. And then he said they're still trying to decide whether they're gonna go back and go back to the same area. But he said he'd let me know when everything is done and cleaned up. So.
I saw that they were giving away sunflower seeds from the
Oh, really?
sunflower heads. Yeah, so they cut all those down and they offered them to people. But they're for feeding birds or whatever. I thought that was.
Yeah, that's very cool. You should have like a security deposit. You only get your $100 back if you clean up. Kind of cool. Just an idea, Will.
Interesting.
Any other questions, comments?
Yes.
Sorry, your name?
On the Association.
Okay.
There's a microphone up here.
Regarding the rules that I gave you, if you do want any changes, you really need them ASAP because we have to have the signs made. So it's gonna be like a 5 or 6 foot sign, because there's a lot of rules on there.
Yeah.
And I did research 15, 20 dog parks and took what I thought was the best. I mean, one thing, you know, every other one that I've seen, the hours of dawn to dusk, you know that there were some neighbor concerns, and that's why we did put 8 o'clock for start time rather than, you know.
I really like that rule too, that specifically, because it kind of resolves some problems for some other people.
I hope, you know,
Yeah.
that will, and there, you know, as far as restrictions, as far as age, one thing, you know, that we put in there that somebody 16 or older had to be in control of the dog. There were others that were 14 or even 12. And then, you know,
Yeah, I like
and
this.
again, hopefully there never will be anything, but if, you know, if you got to yank something back, because actually in Springfield it's 18, so it was pretty old. And they're all, and some of the parks don't allow like anyone under 12 or 10. And I thought that probably would not work here, but you know, we have things in there that you must supervise your children at all times. And that's another reason why there is no food allowed in dog parks, so that children don't have candy or something like that. The dog, you know, says, oh boy, and tries to grab it.
Yeah.
So that's the purpose behind it.
It's also good for when Dewey's in the park too, right?
It was
Treats
regarding
afterwards.
the vaccinated. How do you know if they're vaccinated or not?
Well, if they have their tags, I mean, again,
And I thought about that too, but then I think about my dog's tag, and I'm not quite sure if I have it. I have to find the other one that goes with it.
I think it's normal, right, for there to be vaccination tags or to be displayed at the parks.
and you will learn that the people who are in there are pretty good about policing it. You know, I think you will report things or, question. And again, we ask that, puppies at least 4 months old, just because we don't want them to get sick, from something else. And there's other ones that, not other dog parks have, you must be spayed or neutered, and it's like, I don't know. It's, again, dogs and heat are not allowed.
Yeah,
Yes.
I saw all of it. I thought that was great.
Dewey will check the spayed and neutered.
Yeah.
He's volunteered.
So could I ask the board to just review the rules by Cobb on Thursday, maybe close the business, and that way, Rollo, if you want to do something on Friday or whatever.
He probably needs it before that.
I looked at them.
I mean, I've already looked at them. So.
I looked at them last night and today.
Yeah,
I think they look good.
I looked at them, but I don't.
You good?
Yeah,
Are you all then good now then?
yeah. There wasn't anything that, I think you covered everything.
We can
Nothing
always
stood out.
edit them later, right?
We could always get a highlighter and.
I would also like to schedule myself on a cross-country tour like you've done to
Yeah. All right, so the board's fine then.
Proceed with the signs.
Again, I mean, the village crew and the township crew was just wonderful working with, with everybody, and it has come together so well. The fence crew is knocking it out of the park. I mean, it looks, if you haven't, they are doing an excellent job. I mean, it's just straight as an arrow and just, and it looks nice, and so hopefully we'll be able to.
Thank you, Roland.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We have water fountains will be installed as soon as they're delivered, like everything else in the world. Those are in a little bit back order. Are the poop containment stations, hopefully are going to be here by Friday, and so those will start going in.
Is there anything going on this Saturday at the park, maybe, or?
There's Plaza at Community Park.
Oh, cool. Good, yeah. That's in public
It's a
announcement.
fundraising, because again, we're going to continually need funds
Yeah.
to replace the bags and, and add extra features and that type of thing. One thing I'm amazed that we have 30 vendors who will be there.
Wow.
And that's what we have at Sweet.
Nice.
And I think they're just so desperate to find an event to go.
I just wish you could get more involved. I mean, I just.
So that's this Saturday, 1 to 6:30 p.m.
Yes, it is. And then kind of the park will be there at the same time.
Thank you, Roland.
Thanks, Rollo.
All right, moving on to the next item on new business, Utility Oversight Committee.
We met last night. We had a set of 6 solutions for the water plant that we gave to Greg. Greg gave us great legal analysis. I will, instead of going over all those, it'd be great if you guys had the document in your hand. So I will put those solutions on paper and then the different bads and goods and make sure everybody gets an email copy. I'll run it by you first to make sure it was.
Do you want my notes as
Yeah,
well? Will that
your
help?
notes would be great.
Yeah, I'll send you my notes.
And so I'll get that out to everybody. We had an individual come with a leak adjustment issue last night. They went on vacation, came back, they'd used 15,000 gallons. They filed their appropriate forms in accordance with the ordinance. We voted to pay them back $52.80 some cents. We also had, in doing an audit, and we'll talk about what the audit was about, we found that somebody had some people have 2 water meters, one for sprinklers and one for the house. The sprinkler one you shouldn't pay sewer on. This individual, this household had paid sewer for a little over 2 years, a little over 28 months. And we voted to pay all that money back. It was $1,900 or $1,300. It was an amount that we paid all back. We didn't look back to 24 months like the manual says. And then we had a discussion about another situation with an electric use, and Trustee Scherschel took notes and can update on that.
Okay, and then if Trustee Ferguson or Trustee Gerger, you have anything to add? We had another resident who's also a local developer in town that was discovered hadn't paid for an electric bill for 10 years. So we discussed how to move forward. He had been charged for 12 months, and so there's the committee, it's a difficult legal path forward. So we kind of left it that would be a difficult legal path forward. But I also wanted to share just with our constituents that I have serious concerns about the process and how this issue has been handled and the apparent mistakes made on behalf of the village. I believe Chatham constituents have a right to transparency, and we should make clear what appears to be the issue. So I just want to go over how this all came about. A local developer built a house 10 years ago. An electric meter number was never input into our system. The said homeowner and developer in town never paid an electric bill the whole time they lived in this house until they moved this year, so over a span of 10 years. In 2018, the village board passed an ordinance changing the 12-month period to 24 months for any over or under charges. The village never updated the customer service manual as a result of this new ordinance. So upon discovery of developer not paying electric bill, the village administration chose to charge for the previous 12 months using the customer service manual and in violation of the village ordinance stating 24 months. Those previous 12 months amount was a result of a meter showing 52,000 kilowatt hours over 10 years and using an average of 5,000 kilowatt hours a year to come up with that rate to what they were charged for 12 months. I mean, I would like to know what the lowest month usage for any neighbor around this residence as a comparison, since 5,000 is a very low amount, considering my lowest in 10 years is 11,000. In addition, the irony is not lost on me, nor I would think the residents of Chatham, that while a developer in town was getting away with not paying their electric bill for 10 years, the administration proposed and adopted an electric rate increase effective October 1 on the good paying residents of this town that actually are paying their bills. And I further hope that any member of this board or administration would publicly disclose tonight or at our next meeting, in the spirit of transparency, if they have any conflicts of interest or have received campaign contributions from the homeowner or associate development company while this individual has financially benefited by not paying on their electric bill over 10 years. And I finally want to say, personally, as I thought about this meeting last night, I will also not endorse this decision that could have possibly been the result of financial fraud. And those are my thoughts. If Trustee Ferguson or Trustee Gerger have anything else to add.
Well, so the crux of last night was our choices were to pursue something criminally, which is nearly impossible to prove intent on anything. Criminal action is always hard to prove with intent. The other action we could have is just stand pat. The other action we could have done is looked back the 2 years, which would have charged another $700 and some. The other action would be assume the meter rolled over because of the time frame, and it was at 50, and those meters roll over at 100,000, and that would be more close to an appropriate use, but you can't prove that it rolled over. So all of these facts were weighed with the committee last night, and the choice was really send him a letter asking him to pay the 1 year, one additional year, at the 50,000 rate, because that's all we could prove. But ultimately, the owner could say no, and then we'd have to go to court to pursue it, and we'd spend more money in court than we would be, and once we asked for the 1 year at the lowest rate, it would be very, very difficult to go to a judge and ask for the bigger rate that we think really happened. So the consensus of the committee last night, while we all think that, they should have paid, in causing the village more cost, so to speak, was to just accept the 1 year, was a consensus. I don't know that all of us wanted that resolution, but that's the resolution you have to, you've got to weigh all the goods and bads of it. And so that was the consensus. Trustee Churchill did not vote for that consensus. There was 4 of us that did, but we all had a little trouble with it, but we also realized, like Trustee Ferguson brought up, the majority of it was our mistake. A lot of it was us. My issue with it was this person went online and they paid water. And they also commented on Facebook of how low their utility bill was compared to others. So I think that they knew, but you can't prove it. Intent is something that hard to prove, and the committee just couldn't see chasing something that would cost us way more money in the long run to collect, theoretically, maybe the $700. Did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think as Trustee Gerger mentioned, the burden of proof on this would be pretty high. We'd have to, if we did go to court, there'd be a lot of discovery that would need to take place, and the dollar amount that we're talking about, I believe attorney's fees would exceed that very quickly.
And at the same time, we had no recourse if he decided that he didn't want to pay it.
Aside from
Except from court.
litigation,
Yeah. So we were really, I think all of us were upset and frustrated with the situation. But at the same time, to move forward, because we'd already given an amount to him, we decided that it was better just to back what we already had put out there instead of going back and back and back.
So I know of another situation very similar to this. It was our very own library. Didn't pay their electric bill for, how long was that, Pat? Do you remember?
I do not remember.
Okay, because I know for a while they didn't pay their bill either. And I don't know that they paid a dime. Maybe they paid a little, but, and it was, it's well known that this occurred. And I'd like to see what we did to the library along those same lines. So, and that's a public entity that did that.
But that
Which
was,
to me is even worse.
that was when none of us were on the board.
That's not the point. The point is.
The other
it
point,
occurred also.
the other point, Matt, is if you penalize the library, you're penalizing yourself because
Well,
they
when
just
they
raised
didn't pay their
taxes.
bills.
Correct.
That's a problem. And if
I-
they didn't pay anything, that's a
But
problem.
it's different than a private citizen is, we are all going to have to pay into the library. We all pay
Because
taxes to the library. We don't pay taxes to this developer. It's
But I'm
different.
asking, what did we do to the library?
It's different. We don't pay taxes to
Create the
this
cost, that's a
developer.
problem.
It's
That's no money
not,
that didn't go to the village.
and it would come out of the citizens' pockets.
Again, that's still money that did not go to the village.
Then you should have
Lost
pursued
out.
that on the board that you were on when it happened.
I'm
It
asking,
didn't.
I'm asking what was done.
You were on the
And you're
board.
the public utility board. You should
You're
be
on the
able to tell
board.
us.
You're on the board. You could have
It's
done
an
that.
instance that occurred,
And what did you do?
and I don't even know that I was on the board at the time.
Then what did you do? You can't go back years.
If I
There's
wasn't on the
statute,
board, I couldn't have done anything.
there's statutes of limitations.
Exactly, but I'm asking what was done.
So let me also share from the meeting last night, we also, as a discussion, asked the administration, there's got to be a way to check and see, is there anyone else out there not paying their electric bill?
Well, yep.
And so they had researched it, they cross-referenced water meters and electric meters and found indeed there was none. So there's only been one that they could come up with that somehow they just got lucky, that they didn't pay a bill for 10 years. You know, and I think if I'm as a homeowner in town and, you know, this board has adopted October 1 a rate increase. Meanwhile, it's this developer in town got away scot-free. I think it's abhorrent. I think we passed an ordinance that said we should go back 24 months to overcharges or undercharges, because there was a couple years ago, we had a lady that was overcharged, and it was 12 months. So we adopted a new bill that said, you know what, we're going to not just pay 12 months, we'll pay 24 months. And it was spelled out clearly to the board that this means we would also be paying, you know, would have to then do that if anyone was not charged. And we said, that's fine, it's fair is fair, it's on both sides. My problem is the board passed it. Whoever was responsible for updating the customer service manual did not do that. And then our ordinance that was passed, the ordinance was not followed. So beyond the library issue, our ordinance that was passed by this board wasn't followed. And so they got away with, they ended up paying a very low rate for 1 year.
They paid $700 for 10 years.
That's making a lot of money off of this village in terms of what they've done in development.
And if we could have proven it, they could have paid more.
We could have proven it for, well,
2 years.
at least 2 years, and it was an arbitrary number that was even low.
Well, if we could have proven it, then we should have done it. But if you have proof, go with it.
That's the update. Thank you, Dewey.
Yeah, no, I think there's some things that we should talk through here real quick. I know everybody's got time, but has the 12 to 24 months thing been resolved, or does the current customer service manual still say 12?
Well, I made a motion, and it was adopted in the committee last night that the customer service manual does indeed reflect
the
it.
ordinances.
I do have a question of why I need to make that motion, because I feel like the ordinances should have been further reflected in that, but that motion was made and adopted by a committee. I think that will come up to this board, probably at our next board meeting, to formally adopt that, to update the customer service manual to reflect the ordinance.
Got it, okay, thank you.
That should stop any gaps going forward from the 12 to 24 months.
Right, yep, and I do appreciate that the audit was conducted to eliminate any others that might exist today, so thanks to whoever.
And they did look, our staff looked and found that there was no other, when cross-referencing electric meters and water meters.
And that's how they got the sprinkler adjustment that we got, the one sprinkler adjustment.
Yeah, for 13. Okay. Well, there's a lot to unpack here. I'm not sure that this is the end of the discussion, but thank you guys for doing the research and looking into it and talking through it.
Thank you,
Are
Greg.
there any questions for them? Thank you.
I assume the developer's name is not public knowledge, or not for public knowledge.
Greg?
For that dispute, I'm trying to think if we discussed it yesterday or not.
We didn't name it.
Yeah, if we didn't name them, then we haven't mentioned that yet.
Again, it may not be the end of this discussion, so, yeah. Any other items for the Utility Oversight Committee?
No, that was it. Thank you.
Are there any public comments regarding village business not on the agenda?
Well, the one comment that I have is that for the sprinkler system, you allowed that fellow, or whomever, to get adjusted for, I think you said 28 months?
Because we charged him for stuff we shouldn't have charged him.
Oh, 24 months, but we won't go back.
We charged him, Darlene, for things we shouldn't have charged him. The other one is they used water.
What the ordinance is for?
Yeah.
You can go back to 24.
Yeah.
It doesn't say you can go back to 28 because we overcharged you.
We went back more than 24 on the last lady that caused us to raise it to 24. The committee we should do 24. It's up to the discretion of the board to go more. We had the one lady that was on News Channel 20 and she had the 6 years, 8 years, whatever it was. And we went back and paid her entire thing.
Yeah. That was longer than 2
It's the
years.
same thing. We charge her for what we shouldn't have charged her for.
Right.
This is the same situation. We charge them for what we shouldn't have charged them for.
Right. But you're making exceptions here, and here, but not here. That's the problem. I mean, it just seems like equal treatment is sort of being pushed aside.
Well, we would
I
have,
don't know any of these people.
we would have pushed to collect the 10 years.
So I think, just to clarify, the ordinance says that if we undercharge you, or if we, the ordinance that was passed at one point, I'm not talking about the consumer manual, but the ordinance that was passed is that if we undercharge or overcharge,
Right,
the village is able to go back 24 months.
right, right.
If we overcharge, the committee, so the Utility Oversight Committee has the wherewithal to go beyond 24 if we overcharge.
Either way, and the utility committee makes a recommendation to the village board. The village board is ultimately, like anything, who makes a decision. But no, this board could go back, make a decision to not do it.
So you guys have proposed, if Ms.
Paying the
Judd is right,
sprinkler
you guys were proposing going back 28 on the sprinkler because we overcharged.
Correct.
Just like we did the lady we paid back 6 years.
Understand.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different when we undercharged.
It shouldn't be.
That's,
But the administration had, instead in those instances, in the undercharge, before they finalized what they were going to credit, it came to the committee to approve and adopt. And the
10-year one
in
never
that
came to
10-year
the committee.
undercharge, that was already proposed to that customer before it is even brought to the board's attention.
thank you.
So now we're in a legal limbo that we can't do anything because they got it out the gate to give them the 12-month charge back. So it puts us in a difficult position of going back and reviewing that, which puts this board in a really bad spot.
Yes.
15 days before you've raised the rates on the electric rates on the rest of the town.
That's our report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Duke.
Are there any other public comments regarding village business not on the agenda? Seeing none. Next is scheduled meetings. Committee of the Whole again will meet October 12th, 6:15 here at the Municipal Hall. I do not believe there's any need for a closed session, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make the motion. Second.
Trustee Mao made the motion, seconded by Trustee Gerger. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you for your work on those stuff.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Sorry, if I may, is the meeting still running? I did want to thank the Village Street Department for all the help with the parking lots and also West Side Park. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.